Okay, for this section here, I'm just going to continue on with checking the valve clearance or valve lash. Okay, so for those of you who interested in how to take off the valve cover, you know the link on it is under the description. Okay. Hey, this is for the valve clearance. Okay, so looking at the manual there, 2006, 2010 service manual for Civic. Okay, page 68. Started in page 68. You want to do this when the temperature is below 100 degrees. Okay, and here's the valve clearance. I usually see this in the under the hood, but I didn't see it on mine, so go by that. Okay, the intake is 7,000 to 9. Exhaust is 9,000 to 11,000 in inch. Okay, and here's you got two intake valve and then two exhaust valve. Okay, so all the exhaust valve is located toward the front of the car where the oxygen sensor is at. All the intake valve is located toward the inside of the car. Okay, so remember that clearance, the valve clearance right there. Okay, and after you do your valve adjustment, the torque for that lock nuts right there is 10 foot-pound. Okay, so for the K20Z3 engine, the valve clearance, you're going to find that on page 360 on the cylinder head, and there is a clearance for that. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the battery. So using a 10 millimeter socket. Okay, I'm just going to disconnect the negative battery. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, after I disconnect the negative battery terminal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the alternator connector to get this thing out of the way. Okay, see this thing, to get it out of the way. So to disconnect it, the first one is this one right here. Is a clip. Okay, all you do is push it and wiggle it, and this should come right out like so. Okay. All right, next thing is this rubber cover right here. Take it out. Should be a green plug right there. There's a button on top here. Okay, you just push it in and pull them out. Okay, this button right here, you just push it in toward the left side of the car, and then wiggle it and pull them straight out. This one right here, you have to disconnect it. This round rubber bushing, there's a nut right there. So using a 10 millimeter, because you already got that thing, that battery disconnected. So it's safe for you to do this. Okay, so 10 millimeter, break the nut loose, get this out of the way. Here's a nut for it, and then there should be a little connector. Is there a washer on top there? Okay, there's no washer. That round thing looks like it's a washer, but it's not. Okay, so after you disconnect this, what you do, you take this and you just flip it over this side. Okay, that way it's out of the way for you. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this coil out of the way. Okay, so with the same 10 millimeter ratchet, I'm going to loosen all this nut out. Okay, and I'm going to take these off, all 4 of these. Okay, nut look like that. Okay, remove all 4 nuts. That's what the nut look like, and there's an alternator, the one for our alternator nuts. This one here, I'm going to put it right back here. That way I won't lose it. It's all the way there. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to remove these coil. So wiggle it, and then lift it up. Wiggle it, lift it up. Alright, you do this. Then you take the coil out all the way. Okay, there it is. Okay, put it all in the box. The coil 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order. The bolts, the bolt and nuts, and of course the dipstick. Okay, all in a nice box. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a clean drag and then put it in each one of those spark plug socket to prevent anything accidentally fall in there. Okay, and there it is. Okay, cover this one too. Get that socket right there. Let's put a rag on top of that. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is prepare this thing to turn the engine over, align the aligning mark, and start checking the valve. Okay. Okay, so here's my setup. Okay, I got a 1/2 inch 19 millimeter. I'm using deep socket, a universal joint right there, a long extension, and a ratchet. Okay, so what I do is take this 19 millimeter. Okay, what I do with this 19 millimeter is stick it in that hole right there. Okay, the pre-cut one. Stick it in there, and you should feel the crankshaft socket. I mean the bolt. Okay, so on this side, I don't know, you can see it clearly on my camera there. All right, right there. It's look like it fit into that crankshaft bolt. Okay. All right, so after you fit it in, using a 1/2 inch extension, put it in here like so. Okay, and then your 1/2 inch ratchet. Okay, put them in like so, and then what you want to do, you want to turn it, and up here you turn it as you are watching this. Okay, you see that word is say up right there. Okay, word say up. That thing gonna be like 12 o'clock, and then you're gonna see the aligning mark. That is this mark right there. And for this up is number 1 cylinder, so there should be another alignment mark on this side. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it into that mark, parallel with this edge right here. Okay, right there. All right, and this right here where I say the word up, that means number 1 cylinder. Okay, so number 1 cylinder is this one right here. So here you got here you got 2 exhaust valve and 2 intake. Okay, so right now you should, if you wiggle it, you can feel it. Okay, you should feel this wiggle. The other valve should be tight. Okay, see, that's because the cam lobe is at top dead center. Both valves is closed, and that's why there's some play here for you. Okay, so now what you want to do is take out your instruction. I put the instruction right here. Intake is, I'm using 007 to 009,000. Okay, and then the exhaust, which is the one out here. Here's a 2 intake right there. Okay, here's the exhaust. For the exhaust is 009 to 11,000. Okay, and this is a millimeter, 23 to 27 right there, 0.023. Okay, so I'm using that figure to adjust, to check these valves. Okay, so the way I adjust mine, okay, I use the filler gauge with a curve here. Okay, so 0.011, that's inches, and 0.279 is a millimeter gauge. Okay, so you're looking on the instruction on the exhaust right there. Okay, that's what I use. I use the max number, and if I can slide this in, then that's good. Okay, so I slide it in. As you can see, it's fit in. Little tight, but it's fit. Okay, and then same way with this valve here. Okay, so see, it's fit in. Okay, now a lot of people ask me, like, how tight is tight? Well, if you use the next number, okay, which is, here, let me adjust my gauge. If you use the next number, okay, if you use the next number, which is 0.012, okay, and that's right there, 305 millimeter, 0.0305 millimeter, okay. So if you use the next number, and if you can fit in the next number, which in this case is not, okay, then you know you got it perfect, okay. But if you can use, if you stick, if I stick this 0.012, okay, I'm using the inches scale up here, okay. If I stick in 0.012, the original the clearance called for 0.011, and it's fit a little tight. But if I able to fit 0.012, then that's, if I able to fit this in, then that's too loose, okay. So that's the way that I use. That's my rule of thumb right there, okay. So people say, how tight? Well, how tight is the drag? So the way you do it is go to the next gauge, and if you can stick the next gauge in, that means it's too loose, okay. So I hope that makes sense, but that's my way of checking it, okay. So this thing is a little tight, but it's intolerant. It's at max 0.011, so I'm going to leave that like that, okay. Next one, I'm going to go to the intake, which now I have to adjust my gauge to, I'm using the inches side, so it's 0.007 to 0.009, all right. Okay, this is an intake side. I'm using 0.009, okay. So as you can see right there, number 9, I was able to slide it in, okay. And let's see, on number 10, I'm not able to slide that in, okay. So so right there, this valve is good, okay. So I'm going to do that same thing to the one next to it on number 1. Okay, this is number 1, same thing. I was able to slide in 9, and now I try 10 and I get nowhere with that, okay. So for number 1 cylinder, it's good. Alright, so I rotate the crankshaft clockwise, okay. So you see number 3 on top, and alignment mark is right there. I take my feeler gauge. Well, you can use straight edge, okay. Make sure you be consistent with this. So I align with the alignment mark right there. On this side, on number 3, it doesn't have any, okay. It's only have a alignment mark on both sides for number 1, okay. So number 3, see right there, okay. Number 3 is these two right here. For this is the exhaust. So always leave your instruction where you can see it and refer to, okay. Because a lot of time when you're doing this, you're going to get confused between the intake and exhaust. So always keep that instruction, you know, and look at it for a reminder, okay. So here here I got 0.011, okay. I'm using the inches right there. So I'm going to slide this in like so, and as you can see, I'm able to slide that in, okay, and pull that out. Check the next one. Okay, I was able to slide it in again, okay, and then I go to the next one, right. So the exhaust is down here, okay. 0.11 is a max. So now I'm going to use 0.012, okay. Now I'm using 0.012. So I'm going to try to slide this in. No go, okay. Same way with this. No go, okay. So I'm going to leave the exhaust like that. That's good, okay. It's at max, it's 0.11, okay. So now I'm checking the 2 intake one, which is, I'm going to change it to 0.009. Okay, so for this one in here, I think it's easier if I take these few injector connector off, okay. So with the 2 finger here, you pinch it and you wiggle it, pull them out. Same way with this, pinch it, wiggle it, pull it out. Okay, once you pull all 4 out, it's kind of like slide it back like this, okay. Okay, so I guess I can take this one off too. give me a wiggle room here, and you just pull them straight back like that. Okay, that way you get the room back here. Okay, all right. So number 3. So always count this again: 1, 2, and 3. These 2 right here. That way you don't get confused. Okay, so I'm using 0.009 is a max. Right, refer to this intake. Max is 0.009. All right. See, it slide in like that. Okay, so this one is good. Let's see this one. Okay, I was able to slide this in, put 0.009. Okay, that's the intake right there. So I'm going to change this to 0.010. See what happens. Okay, there it is, 0.010. I'm going to try to slide this in. Okay, so there's a no-go right there, okay? And then on this side, okay, there's another no-go right there. So this number 3 is good to go, okay? Both of them according to that clearance right there, okay? So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to turn that number 4, which is the last 2 here, should coming up next. All right. Okay, so as you see, I'm turning from number 3. Now I'm turning clockwise. Okay, so number 4 should be coming up. Okay, you see that alignment mark right there. Okay, and number 4 showing right there. Okay, so when you do this, do it really slow, okay? Because you put the filler gauge in, and that's tell you how much further you have to go to align that mark, okay? Okay, make sure your filler gauge is flat. Slide in right there, perfect, okay? Okay, so number 4 is up. Again, the exhaust is 0.011, that's what I'm using right here, okay? That's 0.279 on a millimeter scale, okay? So 0.011 is the last 2 right here. So I'm gonna fit this in. Okay, so this one here look like it's fit in, okay? I'm gonna pull it out. Try this one. Okay, this one look like it's slide in just fine. Take it out. All right, so next one I'm going to try 0.012. Okay, 0.012. I'm going to try to fit this thing in there. Oh, no go. Okay, so that one is good. Okay, I can't fit in 0.012. Okay, so number 4 exhaust valve is good. Right, I'm gonna move to the next one, intake. Now I'm gonna change it to 0.009. Okay, this is 0.009 on number 4 intake. Okay, I was able to slide this one in on that one, and on this one, it looks like both of them are good. It's hard for me to set my angle on this one, okay? It's hard to see. Okay. So, right there, okay? I was able to slide it in on 009. So now I'm going to change it to 010 to see if it's going to fit. Okay, so number 10 right here, I tried to fit it in, but it won't go all the way in. Same way with this one. Okay. Doesn't fit in on number 10, so that's good. So I leave number 4 alone. It's intolerant. The intake valve according to that number. All right, so next one on the turn is number 2. Okay, so these 2 right here should coming up next. So I'm gonna move away from number 4, turn this clockwise, and you should see number 2 coming up next. So that timing mark is right on 12 o'clock right there. And you should see number 2. Right there. Okay, now I'm going to slow down and feel that timing mark. Okay. Okay, timing mark. Where the heck's my finger? Okay, right there, timing mark is perfectly aligned. Okay, so number 2 right there. And so number 2 is these 2 right here. Okay, as you can see, if you can wiggle it, you should feel some slack. Okay, all right. So this is the last one. All right, so I'm using number 11 for the exhaust valve. Okay, so this is number 2. See this one slide in. Okay, and then you go with this one. Okay, this one also slide in. All right, so next I'm going to switch to number 12 to see if it's coming in. Okay, number 12. Okay, so if you have a tight fit on number 11, you're not going to be able to slide in number 12. Okay, so right there, no go. I tried to push it in, but can't. So same way with this. Okay, no go. Okay, so number 12. As you can see, 911, okay, on the exhaust. Number 12 is no go, so this one is this 2 is good. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to number 9 to do the intake. Switch my gauge to 0.009. Check the instruction. Intake 009. Try to fit this thing in. Okay, so this one then slide in. Okay, and we'll try the other one. Okay, right there, look like I was able to slide this thing in also. All right, so now I'm going to switch to 0.010. Okay. Okay, this is 0.010. Try to fit it in, no go. Okay, same way with this one. Okay, no go. So all these valves is intolerant with the manufacturer, so I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, a couple years ago when I changed the valve cover gasket, I did a valve cover check on this, a valve clean check on this, and I didn't change anything, I didn't adjust anything because it's fall within that tolerance, right? Today, which is about 2 years later, okay, I check it again because of the valve cover gasket leaks. It's still the same, so this is the original OEM setting. I'm going to leave it as that, okay? But let's say if you check yours one of them too loose, for example this one, what you want to do, take 10mm wrench, loosen that nut up, okay, and then leave the wrench on there, just loosen it up, leave the wrench on there, and then take a flat screwdriver and tighten this. You need it clockwise for tightening it, counterclockwise for loosening it, okay. Do it very little, okay? You don't need to change, these clearance are very little. So do it very little. Never do a half a ton, okay? Like maybe 1/8 at a time, okay? Turn it a little bit and then tighten it down. Check it, Once you have it right, then you torque this to 10 foot-pound, okay? You torque this nut down to 10 foot-pound. Okay, so now I'm gonna plug in these fuel injectors connector. Start out with this on. Like so. Okay, so put this connector back, put it in, push it, make sure it's clicked. Okay. Make sure it's clicked, okay? Okay, so once I have all the injector connector hooked up, and so with that solenoid valve hooked up, okay, now I'm gonna install in the coil. So pull this out. Okay. Okay, after you pull all the rag out, now you put this thing in sequence. You take it out, okay? So put it in, press it down, put the nuts back on like so. Hand tight it in first, okay? Alright, so now I'm using a 3/8 10mm torque wrench here. Set that thing to 8.7, okay? And torque them down, okay? Use two hands, okay? One on here and one back here until you hear it click, and that's it. 8.7 is not that much of a torque, so don't overdo it, okay? Alright, after that, I think I'm going to hook that cable back on to the alternator. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put those wire back, hook onto the alternator, okay? I just go ahead and cover this engine up, the valve cover up. That way when I put this on, nothing will fall inside there, okay? So I'm going to take this rag out, take the nut out, sure it's clean. Now I'm ready to put that wire, that electrical thing back. Okay, slide this over like so. Okay, what I'm going to do is put this connection on. Like that, okay. Then this green one, go in, see that arrow pointed toward the exhaust pipe. Should snap in like so. Sure this thing fit in. Okay, then this one like that, snap in. Now I'm gonna put that nut back on. Okay, after that, get the torque wrench and torque this down to 6 foot-pound. Okay, like that. Okay, 6 foot-pound, not that much. Okay, now hook this rubber thing back on. Okay, so after you're done, don't forget you got a 19mm sitting on the crankshaft there. Okay, so make sure you take it all out. Okay, that's pretty much it for valve clearance adjustment, check-in and adjustment if you need it. In my case, I don't need to adjust anything. I'm going to leave it like that, okay? And what I'm going to do next is, because I have problem with the valve cover gasket, so I'm going to put the old valve cover back on and hang out until it, you know, it come in. And I'm going to leave the battery unplugged, okay, to the end. And I just tuck this underneath here like that, so it's hold it open, so it's easy to install in the valve cover. All right, that's it for this section of video. Please continue watching. You know, when the valve cover gasket come in, and I install this back in and get this car on the road. Okay.